gentlemen, start your engine!
Drivers, start your engines!
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engines!
And gentlemen, start your engine!
And welcome back to another episode of the Green White Checkered Podcast. I am Andrew, joined again with Shane. We're here to talk about, a little bit of Atlanta, some NASCAR bets, and we're going to jump into some COTA action. First road course of the season, first non-play track of the season. So exciting episode. Before we start, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, join our Discord. Eventually, we're going to have some watch parties, have everybody in there talk about the race as it goes on live. So, let's hop into Atlanta, Shane. Christopher Bell wins after a last lap caution. How do you feel about the overall race?
Oh, it was an exciting race. I was definitely entertained throughout the race. Again, you've seen some of the best cars not make it to the end. So that was a little disappointing, but it was really entertaining.
Yeah. I kind of said it last week. I think this is the new Daytona. Kind of what we used to see back in the 90s and that, where the guys that had the better handling car can make it to the front and it actually mattered, right? Whereas Daytona and Talladega is now more of, I just hope I'm there at the end. And I mean, it makes for great racing. We saw the Fords just dominate pretty much all race. Other people kind of figured it out, but the guys that are usually really fast at plate tracks were up front. So it was kind of predictable. Like, you can bet this action here, whereas Daytona and Talladega, it's kind of like just throw some darts at a board and hope one of them hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great racing. Now here's a question for you though. With how Atlanta has performed, do you think we might see more of this down the road, maybe at another track, say Texas, which has got reconfigured, then ruined by the PJ1 that they put down on the track in, the late, 2019 or something like that? Could you see them possibly doing this to a track like that? And would you want that to happen?
I would love for that to happen. I don't know if they will, because it's one of those things, admitting your mistakes, but I would love for that to happen because Texas has a tendency to get very boring, I would say, just so spread out and not many lead changes. And Atlanta is the total opposite.
Okay, what if they do it to another track like Vegas or Kansas, more of the cookie cutter D shape? Would you want that?
Maybe at Vegas. I'm fine with the way Kansas has been performing lately.
Yeah, see, Texas is kind of sure, why not? Just because of how bad the racing has been. We actually did get an okay race last year there, but overall, it's kind of been a low groove only type deal with the weird banking in 1 and 2. You can't run high. So it's like, fine, sure, let's do it. Let's see what we get. Maybe it's more exciting. I mean, if they can make the surface the same way as Atlanta, I'm all in. I kind of on the boat where I'd like to see Atlanta try it without the plate package, just to see what our normal intermediate track cars can run like. I think we'll get a lot of off throttle time and maybe some kind of early 2000s style intermediate racing. But as far as Kansas and Vegas, though, leave them alone. If they're putting on okay shows now, leave them. I don't want to do like 10 super speedway races, I just think that'd be a little too much, especially for the teams trying to save money. But, man, overall, the racing was great. They had a lot of side-by-side. We saw 3 wide, 2 wide. There's some 4 wide every once in a while. We talked about Carson Hocevar last week. He didn't make any friends this week. Obviously, after the race, it seemed like there was a small line forming to talk to Carson and exchange some words. How do you feel about the aggressive driving from a young driver like that?
I mean, as a fan, I don't hate it. I mean, if I was a driver, I probably would. He's being a little careless, but I also feel like it got a little bit exaggerated by a few drivers. I think that when we saw Chastain go up to him, I think that was more of a mentor type thing going on. You know, he was probably the person who told Carson about, you know, not following your manufacturer. And, you know, immediately in his interview, he apologized for that. So I kind of don't feel like Chastain was as pissed at him as they made it out to seem. And I think Busch kind of got over it because it was so early. Blaney's the only one that I felt like really, really carried over till post race.
I think Blaney's could have been much worse if he didn't finish, you know, top 5.
Oh yeah.
So
that definitely cooled him off a little bit.
Oh yeah, but like the Kyle Busch thing, I get it. It's so early in the race. Do you really need to be that aggressive, especially when you got a good car like Carson has? I mean, Busch had a good car too, but I don't know. Cool the jets early, I guess. It's some people are like, oh, it's racing. Yeah, it's racing, but at the same time, you got to make it to the finish. So if you're driving aggressive, yeah, nothing happened here, but another time it could, you know. And I don't know. You gotta play the long game. You got to be there at the end. So I get what Kyle Busch is, you know, frustrated about. There were some other drivers that like seemed like they were, but didn't really, you know, do anything after the race or say anything. The Blaney thing, I mean, you get spun. And again, if he didn't finish up front, I think that's a major incident that we're going to see all season. But I think with a good finish, he's going to be fine. And the Chastain, like you said, it's more of a mentor thing. And of all people, though, to mentor you, Ross Chastain, and people don't expect you to be aggressive. Like, come on. Ross Chastain is one of the most aggressive drivers out there. So, again, I'm not a big Carson Hocevar fan. I think he's talented. Young Kyle Busch type deal, you know, very aggressive, very talented, makes mistakes. He's going to win races. We said he was going to be fast last week. He finished P2 with a chance to win, you know, 3 wide, but a last lap caution takes, you know, the chance away. Honestly, with that last lap caution, who do you think's, if that didn't happen, who do you think wins?
I don't think it was Bell. I think it was going to be Larson or Hocevar.
Yeah, I think it was going to be Larson, just with how it looked like. So Bell had already lost his momentum, was kind of falling back. Larson was holding pretty steady, and then with the side draft, I think they're going to pull back Hocevar. I think Larson would have picked it off, but it would have been good to see the finish, I think. But again, we have a last lap caution that ends the race. Well, I shouldn't say that. Last week, we didn't have a last lap caution when I think we should have. And then this week, it's like, come on, let it play out. So how are you feeling about these cautions towards the end of the race? NASCAR can't really seem to choose, you know. Saturday, we had the Xfinity race where there's a wreck and they let it go. And then Sunday, it's, you know, we throw a caution. And then last week it was the opposite. Xfinity, they throw a caution, and Cup, they don't. So how are you feeling about these cautions?
Whatever they do, they've got to find some kind of consistency. You know, it's you don't know what to do. I mean, you're basically putting out, you know, you're going to have drivers thinking they're not going to throw the caution and being over aggressive until they see the caution. And you're probably going to cause basically what you're trying to save in calling the cautions. You're still going to cause happen by the drivers not understanding what the precedent is as far as what we're going to do whenever this happens.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like I get it from a driver's standpoint, it's safety, right? If there's cars wrecking, there should be a caution. So mixed opinion. Like I guess the Daytona duels one is a different story. Like you're literally 100 yards away from the finish, like 3 seconds, you can't hold it off and let it run through. But like then the Daytona 500, that's a half a lap, and you have 2 cars going for it, and they're not even close together. Like throw the caution. Like it's not going to change the outcome. But then Sunday, we're 3 wide going into turn 3, and they throw it. It's like like consistency, something like safety standpoint. Yes, should be a caution. Fan standpoint, I hate it. Right, I want to see that 3 wide close finish. Who's going to get off turn 4 and win this? I tried to think in my head, how do we solve this? And it's like, oh, well, if we, throw like a caution for like half the field or something, like they figure who's behind the wreck and throw it, get some dash lights or something. I'm like, that's just, then you're going to have other problems where like a guy thinks he's clear and he's not, and whole other book. So it's just like, just be consistent, make the call right. You have the propaganda podcast, the NASCAR hauler podcast. They said they had drivers saying after the Saturday race that, hey, you need to be throwing this caution. So I think they're going to be more consistent. Are we going to hate it? Yeah, probably. There's going to be some races where like, just play it out, but driver safety, we don't want anybody getting hurt. I mean, we don't race back to the caution flags anymore because of that. And I don't know. As a fan, we're going to complain, but safety. We don't want our favorite driver getting injured. So,
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Man, how about Christopher Bell though? Locks himself in pretty early.
Yeah.
A track that I don't think a lot of people would see Christopher Bell winning at. I think after the race, he even said that he was surprised.
Yeah, the Toyotas really didn't have a lot of speed. They geared more towards handling, and I don't think it paid off. And well, I guess it did pay off ultimately, but as far as throughout their entire lineup, I don't think they had much speed. But it was kind of the same situation as last week, where you kind of had a guy that was in the right place at the right time and got a win.
Yeah. He got the right pushes at the right time, picked the right lane, and it just worked out. And then, Carson kind of helped it with making it 3 wide with Chastain and all that, and really screwed them over.
Yeah.
But, he played it right, and the caution, I think, saved him, honestly. But good for him. Locked in to the playoffs this early. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, my over 3.5 wins for Christopher Bell before the season is looking good right now.
Yes, it is. How were your bets last week?
Oh, I didn't do very well.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, you can go.
Oh, I got absolutely destroyed on the Green White Checkered. Like, I had the perfect card going into that Green White Checkered. Like, Chastain to win, Chastain top 5, Barry in, hosts of our top 10, Legacy over colleague, and what was my last one? Oh, over 26.5 lead changes. Every single bet was good at the Green White Checkered. Like, if that race played out, I'm walking away with like 35 units. I walked away with like 3 because Barry didn't get it. Chastain didn't even finish. I think he finished 8th, something like that. So he didn't get the top 5, let alone a win. The host of our hit, the Legacy hit, and the lead changes. Like, oh my God, it destroyed. It was 50 lead changes, and the line was 26.5. I should have hammered that like crazy. I don't know why I didn't. The fall race only had 24, but everything else, the other 6 races went over 40, I think. But shoulda, woulda, coulda is right. The Green White Checker, man. Last year, same thing. Green White Checkered screwed me in so many races. And then this past week at Atlanta, same thing. But
might need to change the name of the podcast.
Oh, dude. Avoid green, white checkers. Finish under green. I don't know. Something like that. But I mean, at least I can tell kind of how the season's going to go out. Like the speed and all that from the cars that I expected to be fast were fast. So we're on the right page. We'll win some bets for sure this year. And it paid off or paid for my Daytona bets. So I'm pretty even right now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Got a little bit of news. Corey Haim signs with 2311 in a multi-year deal. I thought this was going to happen last year, honestly. I thought he was going to get the 35 car instead of Herbst. But I think Corey Haim's very good driver. So excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, what's he, 22? And he has how many truck wins? Over like 12 already? Something like that?
At least.
Yeah.
It's got to be that. And I mean, the Daytona 500 win, or Daytona 500, whatever the Daytona race is for trucks, you know, he kind of won that race.
Technicality.
Yeah. It'll show up in the record book as a win. He's a good driver, and we saw him run a couple Xfinity races and a couple Cup races last year, and he performed really well in all those. So Kansas, I believe, is his first race. He's run a Cup race there. He's run Xfinity there. I'm going to be probably betting Haim depending on what his odds are. Like a top 10 for sure is how I'm seeing it. But yeah, other than that, I don't really know about any other news. I know Kligerman lost his appeal. The 19 did not get their appeal, but there's some weird deal where they don't have to suspend the crew chief right away. We kind of talked about that last week. Like, oh, if you can hold off, they're holding off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good for Briscoe.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I wanted to, for Atlanta. Dude, Cindric and Blaney, how the heck did they rebound so well in that race? Like at the end, those are the two best cars, in my opinion, all day.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, Logano looked good in the first.
Yep.
I mean, really. And then when you put in Josh Berry, too, that whole
all four
team,
Penske's.
like they were fast as hell.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, we said that last week, like the Penske guys are going to be fast, and you know, they go out there in qualifying, boom, pole, and then just the whole race. If it wasn't a Penske car up front, they were right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an incredible performance by them without the result they wanted.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Cindric this year? I mean, Daytona 500, strong. Last week at Atlanta, strong.
Well, I think the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be really telling, whether or not it's just the super speedways or whether he's going to be consistent throughout the year. Right now, he looks like a true contender, though.
Yeah. I'm kind of looking at the schedule, and it's like, okay, well, COTA, Cindric raced Trans Am for a year and a half, so he can run a road course. Phoenix, oh man, who runs really well there? Penske. Like, it's gonna be, like you said, this next couple of weeks, really gonna be the needle pusher on Cindric for me. I have a Cindric bet this week, so I'm interested as far as what we get from COTA and Phoenix and what we're gonna see. I think Toyota's got to show a little more for me. They've been kind of lackluster. Chevy's shown some speed that I'm not surprised, but maybe it's a little more than I expected. But this is kind of where the schedule really starts in my mind. We get past the play tracks, we're going to see what people have. Let's hop into COTA.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we're running the shorter layout. We're cutting off, like, I guess the back stretch, the really long straightaway, the hairpin turn. It's two really good passing spots, which sucks, I think, because there's not too many places to pass here. But it's COTA. We're going to see a lot of action in turn one, where just We kind of get the weird starts and stuff like that, the dive bombs. We got a bunch of ringers hopping in here. We got obviously Allmendinger in the colleague car full-time this year. SVG's full-time in the Trackhouse car. We have Connor Zilic, though, in a Trackhouse car this weekend. I'm a big Connor Zilic fan, but as far as betting goes, I am staying away because he is, as right before this podcast, second favorite to win. Still is at plus 600. What the hell? I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I mean, at the very least, you got to think nerves. Like, that's got to factor in a little bit. Like you take away what's on paper and you just think about his first start. Like, it's going to be, like, I mean, I don't see how you have him as the second highest odds to win. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. As far as nerves go, last year, I think it was last year, the truck race, first race in the trucks, he got the pole, but then his nerves got to him going into turn one, and he just locked up the tires and ended up like 10th out of turn one. So I don't know, man. I don't see how he's going to produce at these odds, right? Could he end up with a top 10? Sure. Am I going to bet it? No way. Like, right now, I am completely off Zilic. Unless if he qualifies like 36 and just has no speed or something, and his odds drop to like plus 2,500 or something. But even then, it's like, it's a rookie. Yes, he knows a track. He doesn't know the car at all. And I don't know if they're expecting like an SVG at Chicago type deal where, new guy comes in and dominates. It's not what's going to happen. There was a perfect storm there. It's a new track for everybody at Chicago. This is not a new track for everybody.
Yeah, and you're also talking about a guy with 10 more years of experience at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's not really like I don't know how they're doing it. I wouldn't touch it either.
No, I don't think anybody should. If you do, good luck. Maybe, I don't know, send us some money at the Green White Checkered Podcast, and you'll get the same results. So, again, big Connor Zilic fan. I said last year, I think he's a future Cup champion. He's not going to win his first race, but I am excited to see him out there.
Oh yeah, how about the Red Bull?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, I love the Red Bull schemes. Like, thank God they're back. Like, the old 83 and 84 were so good looking. I'm glad to see them back as a sponsor.
Yep.
How about the other ringers? How about Dinger? You think he's got a real shot?
I like him to an extent. I don't like him to win, but I like a top 10 out of him.
Top 10. Do you like the odds?
For the
minus
top 10?
175.
Yeah, I mean, I feel confident in a top 10.
Okay. Yeah, I've hated on the colleague equipment, said that I don't really trust it, but if they're going to show up anywhere, they're going to show up at a road course with good equipment, especially for AJ. Top 10, definitely. Top 5. What's that sitting at? Plus 180. I don't love it. But yeah, no. How about SVG?
I do like SVG, but I don't like
favorite to win.
Yeah, I just don't like him having like, I don't like betting a favorite that low. I mean, it's just the value's not there. He can come in second and you're losing. So I don't love that.
Yeah, it's not his first race here. He finished 20th last year. So I don't love it at all. Like, again, if you had him for like a top 5 or something, maybe, but not at these odds. I think the sports books have kind of learned that the ringers have a shot, right? So they just kill the odds from the get-go. I don't know. I don't hate AJ at plus 1,200, but once you get past that, his odds are just a little too low for me. Like top 3, top 5. Maybe you just put a little bit on him, but not loving it. Who are you liking to win this race?
I can't back this with logic. This is off of strictly feeling, I'm liking Kyle Busch in this race.
Okay. So a couple years ago, actually probably more than a couple years ago, I'd have to look back. Kyle Busch should have won at COTA. The year that it rained and there were the massive wrecks and stuff like that, Kyle Busch was leading that race. And then the rain came down way too hard. A bunch of guys had to pit because you have no traction, right? He pit, and then I think it was the next lap, they called the race for rain, and Chase Elliott won that race. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, you waited until Kyle Busch pits, then you call the race. Like, oh man, he got screwed so hard out of that win. But I like it. I don't know, man. RCR is just a weird team to me. They're only good at play tracks in my mind. I don't know. It's Kyle Busch though.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. It's Kyle Busch. And I mean, at plus 2,200, why not?
Yeah. When I was looking at statistics earlier, it kind of surprised me to see that the best driver on road courses, best average finish, is Chris Buescher. So I'm going to lean into Buescher this weekend. Plus 2,500. I like the odds there just outright, but I like his odds everywhere else. I think I'm going to ladder it. I'm going to go, top 3 at plus 700. I'm probably just going to do small bits on the outright in that, maybe half unit on both, but 350 for a top 5 and then plus 100 for a top 10, even money to finish top 10. He's going to do it in my mind. Like, that's a pretty solid bet. Might go pretty heavy on the top 10. Chase Elliott, I'm kind of leaning into a little. I like his outright, don't like anything else. We know back in the day with the old car, really good at road courses, hasn't really shown up too much in the new car. But we're seeing more speed out of him. We're seeing more consistency. I like him at plus 1,100. And then kind of a long shot here, Michael McDowell at plus 4,000, 40 to 1. It's Michael McDowell. He's a good road course racer. He's in the Chevy this year, which I think is better than Ford is at road courses. He's got, the good crew chief that he's had. I don't get the bad odds. Like, if I were to go back last year and look at it, I'm guessing he was probably around plus 1,500 or something like that. And now we're just for no reason at, 4,000. I'm in. Like, yeah, definitely going to hop on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a theme this week. You've been able to find a few weird odds. I don't really know, like what the sports books are doing as far as a few guys. I think that you're getting good value with a few guys, and then you're getting value that doesn't make sense with other guys.
Yeah. The ringers, they're expecting a lot out of them. And yeah, again, cool. SVG won his first race, but since then it's been your cup regulars. Obviously Dinger had one in there too, but it's not like he's a, new guy to the Cup Series or Xfinity or anything like that. He's been around for a while. So I don't get the odds there, and I don't get the odds for some of these other guys that have won races. I like McDowell. He's my long shot this week, but if he can do it, hey, 40 to 1, great odds. Put a half a unit on it and walk away with 20 units. Like, hell yeah, all day long. What else you liking? What do you got for, let's go top 5s.
Well, I like Reddick top 5. He's just a consistent performer at these tracks, and I think that they'll have speed at plus 110, top 5. I like William Byron at plus 120, another pretty good road course guy, at least last year. And then Christopher Bell at plus 140.
Yeah. Tyler Reddick finishes at COTA 5th, 1st, 5th, ninth. Like 3 out of your 4 races, top 5, and then 1 top 10. So definitely a solid bet there for top 5. Little over even money. Not a bad bet. Byron, got to win. He can do it. And Bell, Toyota's at road courses. Like, I don't know. Reddick's pretty good. But other than that, I'm iffy on him. Bell did win the Clash at the road course at Daytona, though.
Well, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, Byron won the race, but Bell was chasing him down for like the last 10 laps and covered a lot of ground.
I think you're right. You're right, because he was catching. I think one more lap,
he would have had him, and he gained a ton of ground in the last maybe 10 laps, 8 laps.
Yeah. That was a pit stop strategy, though, wasn't it? Like he got new tires a couple laps later, something like that, if I recall. But either way, I mean, he was flying. You're right. He could have won that race if there was one more lap. Or he got held up too by somebody for a lap or a couple turns that I think could have made a difference. But okay, yeah, I could definitely see that. Top 5s, I don't have much. Not really anything sticking out to me. Yeah. Top 10s, what you got? What do you love?
Well, I've already mentioned it. I got Allmendinger. You're not getting even money, but I think it's a safe bet. I just think he's going to perform. He's maybe the safest guy in this field, I think, as far as just driving. And then I like Suarez, even money. Busher, even money. And then I kind of liked what you got with Logano at plus 140.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Logano's kind of one of those sneaky guys that just ends up there at the end, like in the top 10. I'm not contending for the win, but he's there, right? So yeah, no, I don't mind that one at all. For the top 5, I do have Busher. I said I was going to ladder it earlier. Still same for me. For top 10, Cindric, like I said earlier, he's got road course background. He's got speed in the first 2 races. I think his confidence is up, and I think he could pull out a top 10 at plus 110. McDowell, I was kind of dabbling with the idea there at plus 140. Haven't made up my mind yet, but it'll most likely end up in my final card. And then, what do you think about Zane Smith?
I don't know. I mean, if we were in trucks, it'd be a different story.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got 2 wins at COTA in trucks. At plus 350, I think it's worth for a top 10 of all things.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been, just very unimpressive last season and these first couple. Well, he might have had a top 15 this year at Daytona,
huh? He might have, as far as Daytona goes. I mean,
but that's
I don't really count it anything.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to be bouncing back the way that, like, he ended up the season really well, right? He just doesn't seem to be starting off again strong. Like we saw first, I don't know, quarter of the season or something last year. Yeah, I don't know. I put a question mark next to it in our show doc just because it's interesting to me. Like the odds say, yeah, go ahead. He's run really well at COTA before. He's won races in a different series there. And we've seen guys come from Truck Series to Cup Series and perform very well. So that's another one where I might dabble with it. Again, at plus 350, it's kind of like my host of our last week, at plus 400 for him. So it's just like, I could see this happen. He's got the speed. He knows everything. It paid off last week. It might pay off this week. So
yeah,
Zane's on
good value.
Yeah, great value. So like I said, I think it's worth a dabble. I haven't decided. Final bet on it. Half unit, most likely from me. Yeah. What else you like in this week?
Well, if you wanted to do a couple of the top Chevys, I like AJ Allmendinger at plus 900. And I like Kyle Busch at plus 1600.
Okay.
I just think the value's there.
Yeah.
And then top Toyota, Christopher Bell at plus 225. I do like that. And then winning manufacturer at Toyota at plus 275 because I'm banking on Reddick and Bell to perform.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good call with the manufacturer. I did see that earlier, and it was like Chevy is very heavily favored here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, I was like, I might just bet Ford to bet Ford at plus 600. Like, holy crap. That's really good odds in my mind. But
I mean, if you are going Ford, I guess you're probably
Blaney.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what you're banking on.
Yeah. Blaney or Buescher.
Yeah.
Like I said, Buescher's been very good in this car. Yeah, I just I don't know, looking at their odds for top four, it's not great. So you're either going outright on those guys or you go for a Ford for the outright. And I don't know. It's the 600, though, is ridiculous to me. The top Chevy, great odds for him. I did look at it, but so many good Chevy drivers that I could see possibly pulling out a win or at least being top five. And I was just like, man, like the Dinger one definitely stood out. The McDowell one at plus 2,000 stood out to me. I don't know, so much up in the air in my mind. Like Chastain's one here. Granted, he took out, how about Bowman? Bowman had a chance to win that race that Chastain did. Obviously, he got, pool shotted with the whole Chastain Dinger thing. Bowman's consistent at road courses. I was surprised to see him towards the top as far as average finishes on road courses.
Yeah, he won Chicago last year, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that kind of caught everybody off. Oh, did I see that wrong? Oh, do you know who has a best average finish at COTA?
Who?
Alex Bowman.
Really?
Yes, he's number one with a 3.0 and Reddick with 3.7. So,
wow.
Maybe everybody's sleeping on Bowman. What's his odds right now? I didn't even consider this here. Plus 2,000.
That's that's an interesting one for sure.
The plus 250 for a top five is really catching my eye here. I mean, you kind of count SVG possibly being pushing in there, one or two of the other guys. Like, I like the top five at plus 250. Huh. I missed this earlier, so now it's like kind of popping in my head like, oh shit, maybe we do this. Man, he could have had a win here too. It made it even better. That's crazy. Okay. His worst finish was the first year with an 8th. Since then, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yeah. His will be interesting to see what it does after qualifying. I think.
Yeah. Maybe we save that. I don't know. Oh man. I got a lot of things I like this week.
I'm just scared. I'm scared of these road courses if you don't qualify good. I just feel like you get too many wrecks happen, like small wrecks that just slow your car down.
Yeah. I mean, the turn one incidents that we see on every restart, it all it takes is one guy going in too hot and you're done with the toe link that's broken. So plus 1,400 top Chevy for Bowman. That's not awful either. But yeah, there's so many good Chevys. Like, that's why I was like, I did look at it. I was like, oh, there's got to be, oh, wow, everybody could, like 10 of these guys can win this race. But yeah, no. Okay. C-Bell, kind of like it. Okay.
I mean, I I think Reddick's going to finish higher, but the odds weren't there.
Yeah. As a Reddick fan, he's pretty hit or miss at these two, it feels like. Like 1 week he'll be great, the next week he won't. So okay. I don't have anything as far as those go. Again, too many Chevys. The groups, I kind of looked at them. I didn't love anything. Did you see anything in the groups?
Not really, not this week.
Yeah. How about head-to-heads? First week, I think we can really do those.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think we could just go through them and kind of pick both ways. I mean, and you can say whether you love it or not.
Let's start off with SVG versus Connor Zilic.
I mean, I'm assuming we're both going to agree SVG here.
I am, but would you think about doing Zilic at plus 105?
No.
Okay.
No.
So we're out on that one. I probably wouldn't. Again, love me some Zilic. I'm not going to take that bet. That's risky right there.
I mean, do you like SVG at minus 145?
Honestly, yeah. If anything, I'd probably take that. I can't say like I absolutely love it. Maybe that's when you wait for after qualifying and you get lucky and Zilic goes out like he did with the trucks and gets a pole. And then all of a sudden those odds for SVG turn into even money or something like that. That's probably what I would do.
At that point, you might even get at that point, it might be worth taking him as the winner too, depending on what SVG does in qualifying.
Yeah. If he qualifies 10th and like say Zilic is top 3.
Yeah.
That
would be nice to have the outright winner be the favorite as a first race.
Oh, dude, that would be pretty crazy. I don't even think that happened in the truck race that he was, outright. But how about Elliott versus Dinger?
I like Allmendinger here. It's hard to bet against him on road courses.
See, I think I'm going to stay away from this one, honestly, because I like them both here. I think Elliott has shown enough from, speed wise that I could see him being up there. And then Allmendinger is the road course guy, right? So they're both minus money. I'm going to avoid it, honestly. Bowman versus Kyle Busch.
This is one I wouldn't touch.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if it was closer to even for Bowman, I would bet Bowman, but at minus 130, I don't love it.
Okay. This one's on my card. I've already bet this one. So I'm on the Bowman side. I have a hard time seeing Kyle Busch be Kyle Busch at COTA. He's not doing any of the other series, is he? I'd have to look, but I don't believe he's in the truck or the Xfinity race. So the more practice time Kyle Busch gets, the more likely I see him doing better in the actual cup race. Just kind of how it works, I've noticed. Once they got rid of all the practice that they had, like the 2-hour sessions, he kind of fell off for a couple years. So I'm going Bowman. Like I said, I already bet this one at minus 130. The odds aren't awful. So, yep. How about Larson versus Christopher Bell?
This is my favorite one. I like Bell minus 105.
Okay. I expect to see this matchup a lot this year, just because it seems like, from the dirt track stuff to, all the way to the championship and the Cup Series, it's Larson and Christopher Bell. I think I bet this is going to be a lot of head-to-heads. So, see Bell for you. I'm going to stay off of it. I do like Bell more than Larson, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. How about Chastain versus Gibbs?
This one's tough because Gibbs came in third last year at COTA?
I know he had a top 5. Yes, third.
So that's my only hesitancy here. I mean, I like Chastain here, but last year's result scares me a little bit.
Yeah, and Gibbs is really good at road courses. We saw it in the Xfinity series where obviously it's not the same talent, but he just seems to run really well at these road courses. And then Chastain at COTA, for whatever reason, runs really well. Obviously, he's got the win. He's got 2 other top 5s and a top 10. Chastain just runs well at COTA. I don't know. I think I'm staying away from this one as well. Don't love it. And our final one that's up right now, Reddick versus Byron.
This is another one I wouldn't touch.
Okay. I just noticed I have Gibbs versus Chastain. I have Gibbs on my list. So I'll have to look into that one more, why I actually did that. Maybe I just put it in the wrong spot. But the Reddick versus Byron, I like Reddick here. I just don't see Byron as that guy to run well at road courses every single time. Yes, he got to win, but I don't see it happening. So I think I will probably be on Reddick at -110.
This one will come down to qualifying for me, whether I want to bet it or not.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, the problem with tracks like this is the practice doesn't really show anything because the guys will go out and run 2 laps, make sure they can qualify, and then that's it. That's all you get. So, yeah, qualifying speed probably going to be a really good factor. We don't see guys move a lot of positions here. It seems like the guys that start up front are the guys that finish up front. So, it's probably a good call. Anything else you're looking at?
Nothing for COTA. Nothing right now.
Nothing. For Xfinity, there's a name that I want people to kind of pay attention to this week, especially around qualifying and where he's starting. Austin Green has run really well. So he's raced, I think, like 6 Xfinity races. 5 of them were road courses. And he finished 7th at COTA, 4th at Sonoma, 10th at Chicago, 11th at the Glen, and then 30th at the Roval. The Roval is kind of an unconventional road course, right? So that's the only bad finish at a road course. Everything else has been right around 10th or better. Obviously, the 4th at Sonoma. If you can get a top 10 on this kid, do it. Nobody's got it up right now. Top 5 is sitting at plus 1,300. I don't hate it. I really don't. 7th last year. Anything could happen up front. He could somehow say 2 of the guys up front spin or have mechanical problems. Boom, he's there, right? So just a name to keep an eye on. Obviously, if he qualifies 36, don't bet him. But DFS, he's going to be in a lot of my lineups. Again, he could, if he does start 36, he'll be in every lineup because he's going to perform really well. Another name, Chris Wright, probably be in my Xfinity lineups. He's got a road course background. He did some Indy, the Indy Lights or something like that, and some other road course stuff. He's probably around a top 15 finisher. He always qualifies bad. So you're looking at, just the odd differential of like 10 spots. Hop on that if you can. If he qualifies 15th, stay off of it. But most likely he's going to have low ownership and probably qualify about 30th is my guess. So, yeah. A couple DFS plays for you for Xfinity. Again, I don't know what they cost. They're going to be cheap, though. Austin Green. We're getting another Austin Hill. Did you hear that?
Really?
There's a Trans Am kid, Austin Hill. I think he's like 22 years old. He's going to be racing Xfinity. It's like, great. Now we have a second one. It'll be interesting. I don't know if he's racing this weekend or not. I don't have J-Ski up, but yeah, another Austin Hill. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's all I got for this week. You got anything else?
Nothing particular for this week. I just thought of a hypothetical for you though, real quick before
Okay.
we get off. So let's say we're going to COTA and someone like Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen got announced that he was running. What do you think their odds would be?
Oh, dude, it'd be ridiculous. They'd be favored. They'd be right up there with SVG. Honestly, I could see them just being destroyed in the betting market to like plus 300 right off the bat. All the F1 guys were like, yeah, they're the best ever, and get bet, right? Could you see Max coming over in a Red Bull car at COTA? Like, that'd be pretty awesome.
It would be awesome. And I mean, I think it's something that needs to kind of get worked on between the two organizations, you know, like, I mean, how much, fandom it would bring really both ways.
Yeah.
If you got Kyle Larson to go run against them in one of their races, and it's like all the NASCAR fans are going to tune into that just to see what would happen. And obviously it would be crazy the other way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but it could be terrible because then they come in and win, and you're never going to hear the end of it.
Yeah. So F1 starts testing this weekend. So obviously that's out. But I mean, you could see Max hopping in a track house. What do they call that? They have a special name for the ride because they got the Red Bull sponsorship now. Like, everything's lined up. Max has said multiple times he doesn't want to race F1 his whole career. And he's kind of been a crybaby about it every once in a while and talks about quitting if something doesn't go his way. But I mean, he hops over for one of these races. That'd be awesome. And like you said, there are going to be so many fans that show up to that race just because of that. The viewership will be sky high. I know SVG, the viewership for that was huge because of him. Like, as far as, us Americans go, we're not watching the V8 supercars. But guess what? There are a lot of people in, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, all that do, because there are a lot of foreign drivers running that stuff. So you get somebody like Max or Lewis hopping in. Oh, huge. I mean, hell, the Jeff Gordon and who was that? Was that Juan Pablo when who was in the Williams car way back in the day? When they switched rides at Indy, like, it was a huge deal. And it wasn't even a race. It was just a practice / commercial thing. So I don't know. I did miss some major news, and I just thought about this. Dodge is returning to the Truck Series and is eyeing a Cup return in a couple of years. I think Dodge is next year for trucks, and then 2 years possibly for Cup. I also saw Adam Stern say Honda is being ushered in by Brad Keselowski. So I don't see RFK switching from Ford to Honda, but I wonder if Brad's trying to bring him in for maybe another team, which would be interesting to me.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, and they're using that new torque sensor. I think after this year, when they figure all that out, we might have a couple different manufacturers. I mean, anything more than 4 would be kind of crazy. If we get up to 5, hell yeah, this is early 90s again, where we got Oldsmobile out there and all that. I'm here for it. Obviously, I don't like the possibility of having V6s and stuff out there, but I don't know. I'm here for it. Big news. But
absolutely,
I'd love to see a Challenger in the Cup Series. Like, they looked so good in the Xfinity Series, and we just never got it in the Cup. Yeah. Oh man, it looks so good. The Ram, it'll be a good looking truck. The truck's, it is what it is there. Okay, well, want to wrap this show up? Call it good.
Sounds good to me.
All right, we'll get our favorite bets up on the Twitter, I believe. here probably tomorrow or something. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe. It's the GWC pod pretty much everywhere. And then join our Discord, bottom of our YouTube, and it'll be at the bottom of our Spotify also. So until next week, Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Central Time. See ya.
Later.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.